So it does cross the boundary?
Oh, it's nice to sit here with you guys.
Good to be here with you.
So, yeah, I don't know if you guys knew, but we planned to begin with our first podcast. And do we really have a clue of what we are doing here right now?
No.
Just
But as
talking.
with most things I've done in life, just starting is the biggest. The same as with boundaries. Just starting to set something in place is the first step of everything, isn't it? So
And we were right on
And-
topic, man.
that's what we're doing. We're just starting.
Yeah, because setting boundaries is only the first step. Like holding them, communicating them.
Communicate
Yeah.
them, yeah.
And that's basically the biggest task that we all have to achieve at some point in life.
What's the most difficult part for you? Set it, hold it, or communicate it?
Holding it.
Holding it?
Definitely holding it. Because setting boundaries, it's easy. You sit down, you take a piece of paper, you write down
It's
with
just
really,
words, isn't it? Anyone
Yeah.
can say the words. Yeah.
Yeah. What sucks in life? You write that down, and then you're like, where is my boundary overstep that I feel that way? And then you define some boundaries, and voila, you set the boundaries. But then,
Yeah.
how can you actually get into action, into motion? Communicating them is one step, but then holding them.
Yeah.
But that's a great question. I'd like to throw it back at you. So,
I would say the same. Also holding, but also communicate.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the person who I'm communicating.
true.
Because
Very,
when
very
it's
true,
someone I don't like, so it's more difficult for me.
okay.
You find it's more difficult with someone you don't like
That's
just to
interesting.
set a boundary.
No, it's more difficult someone I like.
Someone you like.
Yeah, because when I say it, I communicate it, it could hurt them feelings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that's what it always comes down to. That's the most difficult part is when it feels like you're withholding something from somebody or you're restricting them from doing something when you could give it to them. You could. I find this with money especially. Like if you're someone that has got some money or if you're comfortable in life, and then if someone's asking you for something, even if it's just a little thing, just because you can help, sometimes it feels bad just to say no, just because you can. But then are you hurting your own boundaries? You know, are you putting yourself into a position where you don't have any boundaries? You know?
You say it hurts.
Yeah,
describe it. How does it feel for you?
I think the best way to describe it is that it makes me feel selfish.
Ah.
Okay.
You know, like 'cause if I'm setting a boundary for myself, it's only for me.
Yeah.
You know, it is just for me. It doesn't benefit or help. I mean, there could be some scenarios where a boundary that I set for myself is helpful for someone else, like a family member or a close friend or something like that.
Yeah.
But largely, yeah, it feels, or it can certainly feel selfish. Like I'm doing this for me and only for me, and I'm not considering how you feel about it or how the other person feels about it or what they want.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the most difficult part of setting a boundary. Like what you were saying about with someone that you like. Because with someone that you don't like, it's super easy.
Yeah.
You just spit it out.
Yeah. Because
Be gone!
essentially you don't really give a fuck of what this person thinks of you that
Exactly.
you don't know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally see where you're coming from, but I reframed that for me because for me it was the same. I felt selfish when putting a boundary. Now I reframed it to I'm just respecting myself.
Wow.
Because I know if I let this boundary be overstepped, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't feel okay with myself. When looking into the mirror, I feel frustrated. I don't feel good. So that's why I reframed it to this is self-respect.
Yeah.
So I'd rather say no, and that is an indirect yes for me, than say yes just because I could to not feel selfish
Yeah.
nowadays. But I mean, a few months ago, I was at the same place. I was like, oh fuck, now I have to put up a boundary because I had this one situation, this one experience that I would love to share with you. It was a material boundary. It
Like
was about
material being like something you own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. So basically it was about my laptop. I lived together with my partner. And she could always use my laptop.
Yeah.
I never said anything. So for me, it was whatever I have, mi casa, su casa.
Yeah.
You can use whatever I have.
Yeah.
But eventually I found out that there is a boundary that I have about my laptop being used. Because whenever she used it, she never put the laptop back where it was, and she never put it on charge. So whenever I could use my laptop, or I would have had to use my laptop, it had no battery, and it wasn't where I was looking for it.
Yeah.
And so eventually I got to the point where it confronted me, confronted myself with my material boundaries. What's going on? Why do I feel so frustrated about this fucking laptop that I don't give too many shits about?
Yeah.
So yeah, and from that point on, I communicated it. The first try of communicating it wasn't too good, man.
Was it a struggle for you?
It was a struggle for me because she said, "You sound way too harsh. Are you mad at me? Are you angry at me?" And I just didn't know how to communicate it in a soft way, because at that point, this boundary was overstepped so many times already. So whenever she would use it, I was instantly in my trigger zone.
Yeah.
So I told her, "You can use it all the time," like really in a charged way, but place it back where it was and put it on charge. Because when I have to use it, I don't want to sit on the cable all day.
Yeah.
So I sounded a bit harsh, I know. But it was my first baby step in setting, communicating, and holding material boundaries. That was a very new experience for me, and I felt.
So from that experience, what would you say was the main thing that you learnt for moving forward, with specifically with like setting, enforcing, and communicating?
Cool.
Because I think the communication aspect of a boundary is the most important part, because you can set a boundary, but unless other people know what that boundary is, it's just going to be abused, or they're just going to walk straight over it. You know,
Man, you bring me directly to the point. The biggest the biggest point for me basically was she can only respect me or give me the feeling of being respected when I communicate my boundaries. She has no chance of giving me the feeling of I am respected, what I'm wishing in a relationship, when I'm not communicating my boundaries. To communicate my boundaries, I should know my boundaries first. And I didn't. So my main key point takeaway from there on was, okay, I really need to address my boundaries. I really need to look at where do I feel uncomfortable, what makes me feel like I don't like this, and why is that? It was because I didn't set boundaries, I didn't communicate them, and so she had no chance of giving me the feeling of being respected. And because of that, we had a lot of, I'd say now, unnecessary drama, but it was necessary, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have learned it. Yeah, that was my main point. How about your experiences? Do you also have an experience with boundaries where it suddenly clicked?
I find it, when I'm setting boundaries with people, especially people that I care about, I find it, because there's two elements of this as well. There's setting a boundary and then enforcing the boundary, because you can set a boundary all day long. You can say, well, I don't want people to talk to me in the morning, for instance, as a silly boundary. But just because you set that boundary doesn't mean that people are automatically going to listen. And so a difficult part for me when I've been, setting up these boundaries for myself in life is what to do when someone isn't really playing along. Like, first, a silly example I can think of, using someone that you've lived with, for instance. Like, I used to live with someone that would steal chargers constantly. Like, phone chargers, like vape chargers, like any charger
So annoying.
would disappear. And it used to make me so frustrated. And despite the fact how I would communicate the fact of, don't touch this, it's mine, I want it there for when I want to use it, this other person would just still ignore those boundaries. And so in that regard, I find it really difficult to, when someone's not respecting a boundary of mine, I find it very hard to continue a relationship with that person. To not to just cut them off almost emotionally, Because if someone's not respecting your boundaries, I think it's very difficult to then respect them as a person. Not even just their boundaries, respect them as a person. Like if you're setting a boundary with someone that you care about and that cares about you, if this is something that you both agree is good for the benefit of the relationship or the situation, whatever it might be, then someone breaking those boundaries is very, very difficult to deal with. For me, like I say, not just completely disconnecting from that person, I find really hard.
You're getting angry in these situations?
Just frustrated, it's a frustration because I'm expressing something which I want to happen or I desire to happen or I don't want to happen, the opposite. And so when that's not being respected, I mean, you could look at it through the lens of that person just doesn't respect you in general. Never mind, they don't respect your boundaries. They just don't respect you.
Yeah. I have a good question for you on that one. So, at that point where she overdid it, basically, was there one situation where when you were communicating your boundaries, you also told her how it makes you feel? Basically, getting vulnerable?
I mean, maybe in this specific example of the cable chargers, maybe not so much in that from that point. That was more of just of an annoyance. I would just get annoyed because I couldn't understand why you can't just stop doing this. Like I would buy extra charger cables for this person, give them extra cable. Like these are now your cables. You can keep this one in your car. You can keep this one at work. You can keep this one next to your bed. Now you don't need to touch any of mine. But they were useless with those sort of things. They would lose their own charger. They'd leave it at this place or leave it at that place, and then their automatic thing would be just to take mine.
You have to sign it.
You have to hide it.
Well, that's basically what I ended up doing. I changed my habits of how and where I would charge things. So I would have chargers in different places. And I would stop charging my phone at night, for instance, because if I left a charger plugged in, and then left for the morning, because I would leave earlier than she would. But by the time I came back from work, the charger was gone.
Yeah, that's super annoying.
Yeah, super frustrating. So, I mean, boundaries can be about things as simple and as little as that. Like, don't take my things, like you were saying about someone overusing something of yours when they're borrowing it. But then obviously they can be huge, they can be things in your life which dictate your life. That this boundary is something which is so clear to me, it's so set in stone that this one cannot be broken.
And I think the more often the boundary getting breaked, the more difficult it gets to communicate.
Of course, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because again, there's just a level of frustration.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're getting angry.
Yeah, you feel like just repeating yourself over and over again and not really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked if at some point you had the moment where you said how it makes you feel. Because that was one big learning I took away when we started working on the boundary book. So I communicated my boundaries at first, but for her it always felt super harsh, almost passive aggressive, like annoyed. Yeah, because I was.
Yeah.
And she didn't really understand it, and at first she didn't respect it too.
Yeah.
So my boundaries got overstepped.
Yeah.
Quite a few times. Before the point came where I had the realization, maybe she just cannot respect me because she doesn't know how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Because women are more emotional beings, I'd say.
Most definitely.
We are more rational logic beings. And so from that point on, I was looking more into how to communicate boundaries to everyone. And so I found out for myself, if I just say, hey, can you please put my laptop back to the place where it was and put it on a charger? Because if you do not do that, I feel really frustrated when I want to start to work, and it really kills my whole fire. And then I'm like, I don't even want to work. And my work is very important to me. So if you could just respect that little boundary, you would help me a lot. And from there on, it was always on the charger when I needed it. It's great, but at first I didn't understand why she couldn't respect me. This is why I brought up the point of making yourself vulnerable.
Yeah. So do you think that the communication aspect then is in that scenario specifically, it was the communication of the boundary which actually made the difference? It wasn't the setting it, not even necessarily the enforcement of it. It was the communication of the whole concept.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The clear communication. You combine the boundary and the communication and your feelings, probably. Then it was, and you come better or faster to your results, what you want.
Basically, putting my heart on the tongue.
Yeah.
As well. I had to learn that because at first I was always harsh when trying to enforce my boundaries, but it wasn't working with everyone. So
that's one really good thing about the boundary book from when I've been reading through it, is looking at, because sometimes you don't even know the thoughts that are in your own head. Like until you write them down and see how you're affected, like going back and saying, like in the boundary book, obviously at the end of the weeks and at the end of the months, there's a reflection part to go back and see how you did, and see what you were able to accomplish and those sorts of things. And so I think maybe if you'd have been working with the boundary book in those initial points, you'd have been able to express yourself better because you could understand yourself better. Because that's what the biggest thing and the best thing I think is about the boundary book is by laying it all out, you can really see your own thoughts. It's not even just what you think other people are thinking and how they're reacting to your boundaries. It's how you're reacting to them yourself, how you're setting them. Are you enforcing them? What did you do when someone broke a boundary? Recognizing those things.
Like uncovering the patterns.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Uncovering the patterns that you don't even recognize in your own life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to reflect first.
Of course, yeah.
Until you realize what you're doing in these situations.
Yeah.
Because I knew it from mine experiences, from my partner. She's like in the morning always like getting touchy or in my comfort zone in the morning, and I'm not really a morning person.
Yeah.
Because I need my 10-15 minutes first for myself, for meditation, maybe for just conscious breathing. And when she's instantly coming like this or something, in the morning I'm just like, no, get away from me. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting angry through the time. And the same thing in the evening when I'm overwhelmed from the day, maybe when I'm just tired as fuck. Then I want to just lay down and get to sleep. And sometimes she was like, "Oh, can you cuddle? Do you want to cuddle or something?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, But then I realized, okay, did I ever told her why I'm reacting like this? And then I reflected on it, and then I told her, hey, when I have an overwhelming day or something, when I'm stressed out, I just want to sit down, lay down and sleep. Yeah. Then please respect it, and we can talk maybe. We can talk, but not cuddle. I want to sleep. Then she was like, "Oh, okay, just said it." And I was like, "Oh, it was that easy."
I mean, sometimes it really is that easy. Like boundaries can be a really difficult subject, and they can be really complicated. But sometimes they are just as easy as that. Yeah. All you have to do is just speak it out loud. Yeah. Because people can't read your mind, and they may not even have any idea that what their behavior is doing and how it's affecting you, or whatever it might be. But sometimes it can be as simple as just saying the words.
Exactly. And the point what you guys said with how you feel in this situation, that was a key point.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That changes a lot. And
exactly.
And our partners, our friends, our colleagues at work, they can only really respect and accept us the way we are when we present us the way we are by also communicating our boundaries. But how can we communicate them if we don't know them? If we never actually sat down and worked with this topic.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question for you guys. Did you always ever had a boundary for yourself personally where you break it?
Yes.
Maybe personally, definitely like in the past, time boundary or something like that. Just tell.
Yeah, I mean, sort of personal boundaries that I've set on myself that I've broken. Things like mostly taking time for myself. I'm like, right, I'm going to do this at this time for me because I need this time for me. But then someone will come along and be like, oh, could you help me with this? Or could you do that? And because I can,
Yeah.
I do.
I know this so much. I got the same.
So I'd say, I definitely need to make some improvements in that area. But that ties back again to the feeling of selfishness, which is for me the hardest thing.
What was the goal in this situation when you did it? Did you do it for the person or just for your ego to say I did it?
Wow,
that's
a deep question.
I think the feeling that I get is that it was for the other person. But there's definitely also like a maintaining of expectations. Like once you've been... So from my past, I've owned businesses, I've employed a lot of people, and so I've been the problem solver for lots and lots of different people and lots of different problems. They would come to me, Chris, how do I deal with this problem? Chris, how do I do this? Chris, can you help me with this? Chris, can you do this? I've had a lot of that in my life, and almost I'm so in the flow of that, it somewhat comes automatically. When someone says, can you help me with this? It's almost like I've started moving before I've even registered what's been asked of me.
Also a pattern.
Again,
I call it the helping syndrome.
Maybe, yeah.
Is it like people pleasing or is it something different?
Do you know what I heard? It reminds me of something I heard Jordan Peterson say. You know Jordan Peterson? Yeah, I think he's a Canadian clinical psychologist. If people aren't aware of him, look him up. It's a very interesting guy. And he was having a conversation, not about boundaries, but about relationships. And within the conversation, they were discussing what to do when things go wrong in a relationship. And that could be a work relationship, a physical relationship. And it got to the subject of being like a hierarchy of power and control. And even in the situation where you're the boss, so say like you're the boss of a company, even though you're in this position physically, it can almost actually be a complete role reversal. Because if people are coming to you to be told what to do, to find out what to do, who's actually got the power here? Because you can look at it through the lens of, it's obviously the boss. It's the person that's saying, do this, and do this. But if your role is to be there so other people can come to you to take your time, to take your thoughts or things like that, who's actually in charge there? Because do you exist not just to serve those people? If you're just there to answer their questions and to solve their problems, who's really helping who?
Do you mean like the difference between a boss and a leader? Something like this?
Not necessarily. More just the fact that even though you can feel like you're in a position of power by title, like you are the boss,
the CEO.
You're although then that suggests that everyone's doing things for you because you're the boss, so everyone's doing the things that you want them to do. But if they're coming to you to ask you this question or to take your time about this thing, you're actually working for them. Take the money out of it because you start thinking about money. Well, they're being paid and things like that. But just the roles that are happening, one person is actually serving the other people. The boss is serving the employees. He's solving their problems. He's facilitating this. And so even though he's the boss and he's at the top of the tree, he's actually fixing the issues for all the different people.
I'd say it all comes down to boundaries again. When he knows his boundaries and he maintains his boundaries, he's the one in charge of himself.
Yeah,
like scheduling.
Like scheduling. Let's say a colleague comes into the bureau and asks a question, how can I solve this problem? And right now is not the time for me as the boss to solve this problem because I'm fixing that problem that I have. I'd say, thank you so much for coming towards me with that question. But right now is not the right time because I'm focused. So let's meet in 15, 30, 45 minutes again. Send away and finish my stuff first. It goes down to your topic basically, like respecting yourself. Even though you could help someone, first you respect your own stuff. Yeah. And after you did that, you then go back to your mate and help them. But yeah, I also have some difficulties with that one. especially since I also was that person who could always help because I got the resources, I got the knowledge or whatever, I got the physical labor, the strength to do it. And in that moment to say no and yes to myself, wow, that's a crazy transition. I don't really like this transition, but it feels so good for my own heart when someone approaches me and I just communicate my boundaries. I'm like, I would love to help you, but right now I'm focused on that. But after that, when I got the time and the resources and the energy, I will come towards you and I will offer you my help. I can still do it like that, you know, but then I have to control over when do I help and for how long and for how much.
I remember when we spoke about it, you said to me, you had a call and you said at the beginning from the call, hey, okay, thank you for calling. I have 5 or 10 minutes for talking to you, and then I have an appointment or something. I have to go away from the call. Well, that's also setting a boundary from the time.
Of course,
I have this schedule. I have to go further than so 10 minutes, nothing more.
And that's setting super clear what we're saying about the communication as well.
Exactly.
That's great communication. That's letting people know up front. This is what I have to do. I can give you this much time, but then hard deadline. I'm done at that point.
Exactly, and the person on the other side was like, okay, wow, wow, I respect your time. Wow, okay, you respect your time. Perfectly.
I have a really good experience from one of my mentors. One of my mentors, he has crazy boundaries. So basically the way he does it, and I only listened once to him when he was doing that, and I was like, what the fuck? If someone would approach me like that, with a clear boundary like that, I would have so much respect for his every minute that he gifts me. And the way he did it, when I heard it the first time, which inspired me to then also like, how much time do I really have for a call right now? So I'm gonna communicate it. He picked up the phone and the person approached him with a problem. Hey, can you help me solve this? And then he said, I will gift you 15 minutes of my time. After that, I will have to go. And if not, you pay every minute. And that's the price list. And he gave the price list. So 4,000 for 4 hours, basically 1,000 per hour. And then he broke it down into the minute and he was like, every minute that we go on top of it, that's what it's going to cost you.
It's like a gift.
15
minutes.
That's all people were crazy. Whoa, I get that much money. And basically the people would also look at his deadline and like at 40 minutes 30, they were like, hey, thank you so much for your time. So just, it's not going to cost me.
I've spent enough money now.
So that really inspired me. And the second experience I had before I started communicating how much time I have for a call is with my mother. So whenever my mother would call me, she would just instantly start talking, like laying down all her emotional drama and bullshit and whatever has overwhelmed her. She didn't even ask me, do you have the time? Do you have the resources? Do you have the energy now to listen to my problems? And that was a point where she always overstepped my boundaries. But how could she respect my boundaries if I never communicated them? So she started talking, and then there was no pause in her whole talk.
You can't even get in to
and
be
like
okay,
30 minutes later, for 30 minutes, I tried to just jump into it and say, actually, I don't have any time. And when I would do that, she was like, oh, no, come on, I'm your mother. Are you being that disrespectful? Blah, blah, blah. So for the 30 minutes, I would have no chance. And from that point on, I was like, man, that cannot go on like that. Because of that, I don't want to pick up the phone when she calls me. Because I feel stressed already. I'm like, oh, the next 30 to 60 minutes, my time will be wasted. And I will have done nothing for myself. And basically, she always called me in the moments where I would take the time for myself to unwind, to meditate, to get into my own energy again. And exact that moment she would call, and not just her. Now I'd say it's the universe basically like throwing those people at me, because whenever I decide now is me time, self time,
testing,
test, they always call in that exact moment. And so now I have two choices: not pick up the phone when it's myself, my self
Which is implementing a boundary in itself.
Yeah. But then these people try to call again and again, and basically from at the second call, I'll be disrupted.
Yeah.
And my self-time is gone already. So what I found out is basically just pick up the phone. You know what? Actually, right now starts my self-time, but I'll give you 5 minutes, and then I'll hang up because I need some time for myself. So what's going on? Now get to the point.
Yeah.
Now this can be stressful for the people that just want to have long talks and just like lay down all their stuff on me, which I'm not a vase. I'm not a vase, a flower vase where you can just put your dirty water in. Just out of the blue, ask me if I'm ready to get all this watery information first. That would be like very respectful for me. If someone would ask me, hey, do you have the capacity to listen to a topic which is on my mind and I cannot get out of my head? And that's what I also started after this. So people are dumping the shit on me. Now, there was the point where I was like, stop this bullshit. So I'm just going to communicate. I got 5 minutes for you. After that, I'm gone. And if it's a really interesting talk, I'm going to stay 5 more minutes. But because I decided so.
Yeah, then it's on you, isn't it?
Because it's a mutual talk where it's like both ways and not just me listening. And I'm a really good space holder for your troubles, for your problems. And the other thing is, communicating. From between 7 and 9, don't even try to call me. Because it's just me time. That's how I learned it basically, and I'm still learning it. You know, sometimes it still happens that my mother calls me, and I'm not like directly before she's like a walking train, a fast track train of talking, speeding. So I'm still learning it to really communicate it right from the get go. Hey mom, thank you for calling. Right now I got 5 minutes time. What's going on?
It's a good point though, because it's an ongoing process, like the setting of the boundaries. It's not like you can just sit down one day, write everything down. All right, I'm done. That's it. I'm finished. Let's go. You know, it's every day. It's every week. It's every month. It's every year. It's constantly changing.
Exactly.
And that's why working with the boundary book, which you should download right now, $9.99. That's why working with that is so helpful, because for people. Like if I wanted to start this and I had no experience, I would be lost at even where to begin. Because like what you were saying about you had the problem with your ex-partner and the laptop, when you first started communicating, you came across as passive-aggressive. Maybe you didn't, but from her perspective, you came across as passive-aggressive. You know, like you were suddenly trying to enforce your will. You know,
and I felt bad about that too.
Of course, yeah,
Suddenly
because that's not what you're
bad.
trying to do. You know, you're just trying to
new
take.
For you.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just trying to set a boundary, and now I feel bad for setting a boundary. What?
Yeah.
So if imagine you were talking to someone, someone that's listening to this right now has no idea where to even begin. Say that they're in the worst position possible, basically where they're everybody's doormat. People just walk over the top of them. You know, someone says jump, they ask how high. You know, it's everything. They're almost oppressed by life. They're not doing anything that they want to do. Nothing's going the way that they want it to go. So to this person, and they're definitely out there. I've been that person at some points in my life. You know, I've definitely been that person because you've been in a situation where you just want something bad to stop, and so you're willing to bend. You know, to someone that's in that position right now. What, again, other than downloading the boundary book, which is the best thing you can do, other than that, what would you give them? What would be one piece of advice that you could give to a person that's in that situation where they could not instantly turn their life around, but they can go from being in a black hole to seeing a little light at the end of a tunnel, so that they can see there's going to be progress. They can see somewhere that they need to go.
I actually have a situation.
Oh, yeah?
I was at the same point like you guys, like you described the situation. I had this friend group, and there was really a lot of negativity. And that was like first time into personal development. And I was like, okay, which kind of friends I want in my life? And I think a really lot of people are in this situation right now. And the first move I did was just to respect myself, my time. Don't always go with them I don't know, maybe to drink, go out smoking, I don't know, something like this. Respect your time, yourself, and search for what you really want in your life. Which persons, which people, what kind of people do you want in your life, in your circle, in your inner circle. And that was a really game changer for me. Really, you have to. It was for me a long part of time when I was like alone.
Yeah.
But it's always like that. A lot of people say this. You have a period of time when you're alone, searching for the right people, for the path you were going in the future. But then you have them in your circle.
Yes,
then you have the right people at your side, and that was really the game changer. Like at the first time when I meet him, it was the first person after a long period of time when I was alone, just with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend was also from the same group then, so it was really nice to find someone who has the same mindset or the same path for the future. And just to work together or something, just like we do now for the Boundary Book.
You should download it.
Exactly.
999.
Yeah. So my piece of advice, just reflect on yourself, what you really want in your life. You don't have to change your whole life at the same point.
Yeah.
It takes time. For me, it took 2 years. Just to find the right group for me, the right friend group. But just reflect on yourself, what you really want, what your goals in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the key point for myself. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly who it was who said it, but there's a thought or a theory that you become basically a mix of the 5 people you spend the most time. Is that what it was? Yeah.
Jim Rohn.
So yeah, you essentially become a mixture, a blend of 5 people that you spend the most time with. And if you think about that, it's really true. Like
it's true. Yeah.
It's super. Like even not just because of their influence on you, but because of how you want to behave around them.
But they have influence on you.
Of course, they
whether
do.
you want or not.
Absolutely, yeah. And so those, like you're saying about having the negative influence in your life, or some friends, which is. If you've got a friend who's always getting into trouble, you're going out together on a night out and he's mouthing off and he's getting into trouble and therefore you're getting into trouble with him, he's starting a fight, so then you're in a fight.
It's the domino effect.
Of course, And so if you can just cut that one person out of your life, suddenly all of those problems go away, So but again, cutting people out of your life, making those big changes.
It's really hard.
Super hard.
It's really hard. I can tell for myself. It was my best friend for 10 years.
Wow.
Then. Wow. So it was a long period of time when I reflected. It was really emotional for myself. Just to cut him out.
Yeah.
I didn't really spoke to him. Hey, I have to go on myself on my way.
Began to distance.
Yeah, it was one big explosion in that friend group, and everyone disappeared.
Scattered. Wow.
And I was really happy for that. I was really happy
because you didn't have to set and communicate the boundary at that time.
That's true.
I did
disappoint your friend.
I did before because I changed in between like 2-3 months, extremely hard, and they had a big problem with that because I didn't go out anymore. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke anymore.
Yeah.
You go to the gym and all this stuff. I read.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They just like, hey, what you're doing?
Yeah,
Are you stupid?
They don't even understand. Yeah.
Yeah, really. It's like you're the baddest person on planet.
Yeah.
But
I think that's because of like what we're saying about the 5 people that you're closest to is who you become. Like in that scenario, suddenly they're now looking at you and feeling bad. Because I'm not doing that. I'm not taking care of my health by not drinking, not smoking. I'm not taking care of my brain by reading, You're not doing all... And so then suddenly that person starts to feel less because then they're looking... So of course they're going to question, what are you doing that for? Why aren't you...
Trying to pull you down again,
of
basically.
Of course, bring you back down to their level,
To then feel better for themselves.
Yeah.
Now, my advice that I would give to the people... because you already said a super nice point, like get clear on your vision, on your goals. And I would love to talk about the vision of the Boundary Book as well. Yeah. But my advice would be, now coming from the other side, basically, really asking yourself, what are your triggers? What is the most triggering stuff in your life? What persons, what situations, where does it happen, how does it happen? And then ask yourself, why does it happen? And it may be a lack of boundaries. And that would be a good situation to maybe
just maybe
download the Boundary Book. Because I wish I would have had the boundary book much earlier in my life, but it didn't exist back then. And I was doing personal development for 17 years already. And then I stumbled across boundaries, really having to look at my own boundaries. I mean, most of my triggers were already gone. Super nice. I'm like in my inner peace most of the time. But then I had this situation with my ex-partner, with my laptop, that then really started to look at your boundaries. You're not respecting yourself. And that was so uncomfortable to feel. And basically, now you can make a list of your goals, of your visions, like get clear on that, and then go forward and ask yourself, what boundaries am I missing to go there? Or look at what really sucks in your life. What is the most triggering bullshit in your life? And then ask yourself, why? What boundary am I lacking? Or am I not communicating to the people I love so that they cannot give me that respect that I need? Or whatever value it is that is hurt.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was the value of respect that was hurt multiple times. And when it's hurt multiple times and someone is overstepping it over and over again, I start to have less respect for that person as well. And how am I communicating to a person that I'm not really respecting anymore? Not in a respectful way. Not in a bad way, but also not like I would really care for how they feel as well.
What about yourself? Did you respect yourself less or just the other person? Because you didn't communicate it in the first place. What about that?
Well, there's a few areas where I would have disrespected myself because I didn't respect my own boundaries. Let's say the time boundary or relationship boundaries, or someone comes and asks me, hey, can you help me on that? And I would always say yes. And now suddenly I'm the person saying no.
Yeah.
And now I would feel bad for saying no to someone because they always got a version of me who would have helped them instantly. And now suddenly I'm like, no. And they're like,
the
what's going on with you? Why are you saying no now? What's going on? Is everything okay? Are you all right? Now they're questioning if I am all right. No, I'm not all right. That's why I'm saying no, because I'm disrespecting my own boundaries. And then at the end of the day, now it's super clear. At the end of the day, let's say around 12 p.m. Is it 12 p.m.? Is that in the middle of the day or in the night?
PM is midnight.
Yeah, so
well,
midnight.
PM is midnight, but technically we don't. It would go from, it'd be 23:59, and then it would go to 000, which would then be 12.
Okay,
so
so I'm talking about the midnight, 12 a.m. So whenever midnight would come, and that would be my meditation time, from midnight till 1 in the morning was my usual meditation time. Whenever there was midnight and I didn't respect my own boundaries, and now just 1 minute has passed over that point and I couldn't have that self time, man, I was so frustrated about myself. I was angry at myself. And instead of then actually going forward and using that self-time, I would just, how other people would drink a beer to numb themselves.
Yeah.
So I was just numbing myself because I didn't want to feel this uncomfortable feeling of how it felt to disrespect my own boundaries, which I didn't really communicate. So how could it be respect, man? Now I know better. Well, when we started working on the boundary book, because this thing hasn't existed the way that we've now put it out, and it just gets better and better and better. From that point on, I was like looking at all the different boundary areas, and I started to recognize that even though I had 17 years of personal development, I haven't really defined my own boundaries in all of that time. And now it was clear for me why I still had certain triggers around people, around time boundaries. Time and relationship boundaries, big trigger topics for me over there. And now I'm so much more clear on it. I'm communicating it more. The people that now use my time or need my time, they respect me more too. And it just feels way better with each other now, because now every minute spent together is so much more intentional, much more loving and respecting.
Yeah.
And the moment we decide, well, now the time's up, we go our own way again, it was so nice to see you. It's a gratefulness over there now. Before that, I had the experience where people really enjoyed spending time with me. They didn't want to go home because I have a great home. I love my home. It's a really great place to chill out together. But the people, they were just doing everything to just stay here. And I was so uncomfortable, like kicking them out. But again, that was me disrespecting my own boundaries. So basically then midnight strike. And from that point I was like, ugh, I don't want. I don't want anymore. Now you can stay. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm just gonna numb myself.
Have a smoke, have a drink, just turn off to everything.
Yeah, but that's not the solution.
No, of course not.
Especially not if we have goals and visions in life that we want to achieve, and not just be the, in German we would say the 0815 person.
15.
The victim.
Yeah, the victim mindset person. I'm sorry, if you have visions and goals in your life, at one point in your life you will come to the point where you will have to look at your own boundaries. Because if you really want to achieve big things in life, you will have to have a big self-respect. Otherwise, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
If you're always the little bitch, try to censor it. If you're always the little bitch of the other persons, you're not really getting there. And then you're just frustrated about yourself. And I've been a coach for 7 years, coach or mentor for 7 years. And I've worked with a lot of people, and they all had this problem. They started something, now they were not sure about their own boundaries, so they didn't communicate them. Now they got frustrated. They got frustrated about their own goals that they couldn't hit because they had no self-boundaries as well. And at one point, the fire was just out. And they gave up. And I only say to people, you only lose in life when you give up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, we've spoken a lot about problems.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about some solutions.
Good point.
So, I mean, let's just run through the basic outline of what the boundary book is, how people interact with it, you know, what they can expect to get from it. So, let's just start there. So, they open the book, page 1. What are we looking at?
Who wants to explain? I can explain. Who wants to explain?
Just start. I fill the
Okay, you
the
fill the gaps.
spaces, yeah, the
You fill the gaps. Okay, great. So, it is a workbook, okay? It is a book that you take, you have in your life, and you're working with it for at least 3 months. Like you've heard from our own experiences, and maybe your own experiences as well. It is a process. Whatever we do in life, it's a process.
Still for us now, an ongoing process.
Oh,
you know, like
course.
every day, every week, every month you are going to be faced with a new problem, which is going to test either an existing boundary or something that you didn't even realize you needed a boundary in place for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So instead of just like jumping straight into the daily, weekly, and monthly reflections, also with scorecards and all the tools you need to really track your progress and see what's happening in a data number way as well, because there's blue guys, there's red ones, and green ones, and we wanna reach all of them. So how do we start with the boundary book? Basically, you open the book and first you learn the basic principles. What is a boundary? And really define the different boundary areas that we got. So we have 6 areas. We don't want to say too much right now, because you should just like get it.
Download it. It's $9.99.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
it's
only
like 2
$9.99.
coffees. You know,
Man, 2 coffees for a much better life. I can guarantee you. Okay, and if not, I'm gonna give you those $9.99 back.
even if you didn't work through the book, if you just read the content in there, there's enough to start creating changes and triggers in your mind.
Yeah,
100%.
it's a lot of knowledge there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, we would start with the basics, and after that, basically start working through the theory, where you like get all the knowledge. You start to integrate it. You start to go through a personal self-assessment test about your own boundaries. then you'll get some scores. You see exactly what 2 areas you're gonna focus for the next 3 months. Because the way the boundary book works now is you go through all those tests in the first 27 pages, which is theory and working in the self-assessment in all kinds of areas. And then you know which 2 boundary which 2 boundary areas need to be worked on and focused for the next 3 months. So as soon as you have picked your 2 boundary areas and you know exactly what belongs into the boundary category, you start working on them in the daily journal, in a weekly journal, and in a monthly journal. And whenever you hit a weekly journal, you also go back through all the 7 days. Whenever you have a monthly journal, you go back to the month before, and you can still do a course correction, right?
Of course, yeah.
But the goal basically is to, let's say there is a scale from 0 to 10. Let's say the goal is to reach a 10 at each boundary area.
Yeah.
Am I there yet? Hell no. Nope. No, let's be honest.
I'm not sure a perfect 10 person exists.
I don't think so. We're not robots, you know.
Unless they're an
humans.
asshole. Maybe they're just unemotional.
Maybe ChatGPT or something.
Yeah.
You're a red person.
ChatGPT could be a boundary 10. Yeah. Maybe that's the only one.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is not to be perfect, but to be whole. I always say.
That's a nice way of
And you don't have to
Be yourself.
To be yourself.
Even better.
True
Yeah.
and aware for yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you don't have to be on a 10 on each one. Just that you know yourself. Know where you're standing at, what your boundaries are, how to communicate in a non-violent communication style, which we also teach you in the boundary book.
Exactly.
So you're not just getting the knowledge of what are boundaries, how are they defined now, how do you find your own boundaries, how are you setting them. So you're also learning how to communicate the boundaries in a non-violent way, so that the other person which you are learning to communicate your boundaries at is not just like feeling aggravated. Is that a word?
Yeah, just because when you first start doing something like this, like you had with the laptop, it is going to be a big change. Not just for you, but for the people in your life. You know, if you have been the yes man for years and years and years, when the first time you say no,
Whoa.
it's going to be like
It's almost like an insult.
It's like a bomb's going to go off, and that's a good point. Like, it's almost like an insult. Have you ever heard of shifting baseline syndrome?
What?
Shifting baseline syndrome. What it basically means is, so say for instance, like the example that you gave with like wanting your space in the morning. So say that you initially want this 15 minutes of time to yourself. Say one day you took a little bit off of that and you were like, okay, I'm only going to take 13 minutes for myself. That's now your baseline. So although, and so then, you know, the 13 minutes could turn into 10, it could turn into 5. But because it's going little by little, the best example is for when people are gaining weight. Like if people are putting weight on. So, you know, they gain 10 pounds over Christmas or something like that, or, you know, they put on 3 or 4 kilograms because they ate a little bit too much. But then, you know, they don't do anything about it, and then they look at themselves in the mirror day after day after day. And then suddenly what they're seeing is now that's their baseline. So now this is who I am. And like, you know, so you could be the 15 minutes in the morning. Now you're the guy that only needs 10 minutes in the morning. And then you're the guy that only needs 5 minutes in the morning.
Wait, only needs or only wants?
Well,
or
no,
only gets?
Just to make reference to the fact, what's happening is like your baseline is changing. So this is who you are normally with these set of rules. But if you keep making a change or accepting more and more of things that you don't want, suddenly your baseline, so it might feel like nothing has changed. Like, oh no, my baseline is still my baseline. But you've completely shifted. You know, you're now all the way over here. Like someone who's putting on weight, you know, they put on 5 kilograms this year. Oh, this is what I look like now. And then they put on 10 kilograms the year after. Now this is what I look like now. But no. You know, go back, look at what you looked like last year. That's your baseline. But you've now accepted that this is now your baseline. And so when you're...
it's because they're not consciously saying no to that new baseline. It's
refuse,
basically disrespecting our own boundaries again, or not having any boundaries yet. A lack of boundaries. Yeah,
that's the
topic.
difference.
Wow.
And so for those people that are suddenly shifting their baseline in the opposite direction. They're no longer going in a negative way. Now they're starting to set their boundaries. Excuse me. They're now setting their boundaries. So to those other people in their life, they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, big alert.
Yeah. And so I think that that's one thing that people will find is the biggest shock to them. It's not necessarily how they feel about themselves, although they're going to have an awful lot of improvement in that area. But you're going to notice a big change in the people around you, because you're going to find out who is there because they like to be around you, and you're going to find out the people that are there because they want to take from you. Because the moment that you stop giving your hand to every person that comes and asks for it, suddenly people are going to disappear because they were only there for your hand. They were only there for what they can get from you. And so that's one thing that people will notice when they start implementing this into their lives. It's going to be a big change, a real big, like what happened with your friend group. It's like if you have a mindset shift, then if the people around you aren't willing to keep up with that, then some of them are going to get left in the dust. But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Feels at the beginning. It feels like
it's horrendous at first. It's like
losing all the people I loved.
Exactly.
But did they love you the way that you were, like the true you, or did they love the mask that you put on to be liked,
or just what they can take from you? I mean, a lot of this is emotions and feelings, isn't it? And that they are getting something from you that makes them feel good, even if it's not a physical thing, if it's not an item, it's not money, it's not
time,
space,
just listening,
just anything, it
or just to throw their garbage at you.
I mean, there are a lot of people that do really like to do that, but that's how they end up feeling better.
But you're not.
No, of course.
When
it's an energy transfer, isn't it? There's an energy transfer,
and it just goes one way. That's the problem. That's why I said I restrict my time now. When I pick up the phone, I say I got 5 minutes for you. And if I feel like this is going to be a mutual communication, where it's both ways, hey, you're telling me how you feel, what happened in your life, and I can also drop off on you, and then we can reflect on that together. Now I see a reason to spend more time in this call. But otherwise, if it's just someone dumping on me, I don't need that anymore. I don't want that anymore. Here's the deal. I will give you 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, every minute costs you 50 francs at least.
I have to try this. Really?
Yeah.
I really have to try this. I make a price list now as well.
No, to be honest, I'm still not bold enough to do it like my mentor did it. But that's my goal. About my time boundaries. That's truly my goal, because when I saw him expressing that boundary, and it was so natural, the authority and the respect and the self-confidence he emitted in his whole aura, I was so amazed. I was like, wow, this is such a great person. I just want to learn from him. Give me your teachings. And so I really want to grow into that too.
I have a topic which we also have in the boundary book, and it's, for me, it's one of the most important topics, because it's about your values.
Okay.
And every boundary that's been crossed in your life, it's just because the value you have was triggered in a negative way. So, I don't know. One of my top values are development. It always was, probably, but I never thought about it. I never knew it until I reflect on it. And then I knew, okay, when I want to learn, I want to grow. And when I can't, I feel miserable. I feel horrible. And I just lay in my bed, feel sick or something. Only because I can't grow. I don't learn anything at the day. I don't improve anything at this day. And this one is very important, because when you don't know your values, you can set a boundary, but it helps you really to know in which area of your life, and why you set these boundaries. Exactly, why it's important for you.
And also, it helps a lot in communicating the boundary.
Exactly.
When you're sure about your values, you know exactly what you value in life and what fulfills you, what gives you energy. Now it makes sense communicating those boundaries. And now people can respect you with the values you got, and the relationship you will have at this point will be changed that much dramatically, and it'll improve just everything. But you'll also know at the end, or let's say in the process, who are your real friends, true friends, and who were just here, like you said, just to take your hand.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people out there, I'm sure I still have those people in my life and I don't even realise it, you know.
Good point.
You know, there definitely will be some people that still just, you know, sometimes you don't even see it until you, again, reflect through what your boundaries are. And so, yeah, like, I've not done a full year of the boundary book, but by the time I get to a year, I'm sure it will be... So you'll find out, you know, like by doing the self-reflections, you're going to find out.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, and that's why working through the book is so important. You know, doing the steps, going through it so that you can see it for yourself on paper. And you know, when you've marked down successes and failures in those boundaries as well, being able to go back and make reference to it just makes such a big difference, because otherwise it just exists in your head.
Yeah.
And again, what I was saying about the shifting baseline, if you accept a little bit more and you accept a little bit more, you can still feel like, oh, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. You know, I'm not letting anyone abuse my boundaries, but you've moved a little by little by little by little, and you don't even realize it's
shifting
happening.
The baseline.
Of course, man, and you don't recognize what you've done to yourself, and so by having it written down, that you can make reference to it, you know,
on a daily basis.
Of course, on a daily basis, it's a game changer.
Exactly.
Absolutely, you know, for just understanding your own mindset. You know, why you're doing the things that you're doing, why you feel this way about this thing and this boundary that's been broken. Because so much of interacting with people comes down to boundaries, doesn't it? You know, so much of it. Well, when it's something that's not just having fun or, you know, hanging out. But even in those scenarios, you know,
also
it can literally be anywhere. Of course. It can come from anywhere, in any direction, from any person. Even the people that love you and you love the most, those people can still say, like we were saying about your mother, you know?
I think these are the persons that can cross your boundaries the most. Because
on
saying,
the easiest way.
And saying no to these persons you love the most, that's the hardest thing to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we created actually one feature in our boundary book, which is called the accountability body, boundary body, accountability boundary body. And basically, that's what we're also creating with our vision. We want to create a huge community worldwide, where people are in the right groups. You know, you join our community, you are surrounded by people that want to grow in their own boundaries. And now you will find one accountability boundary body. It could also just be your mother, your friend, your partner, whatever. You will choose someone, you will pick someone, and if it's no one from your direct environment, you'll just pick one of our community, where you will have a weekly call, you will get a lot of inputs from our side. But the best thing is really, at the end of the week, you'll start to reflect with your accountability boundary body as well. And when someone holds you accountable, let's be honest,
it makes such a difference for me, for how I work. Just having someone just almost to like check in with, just to make sure you've done the things you're supposed to do, you know?
Exactly.
Helps.
It's not just writing it down, it's speaking it out loud to someone. Hey, did you do it? Or someone asks you, hey, did you did your shit? It's makes so much difference. Really.
Absolutely. Crazy. And so using an accountability buddy, it's just makes, well, for me at least, it's almost like the teacher's going to check your work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like they're going to make sure I'm doing it properly.
You have to show that you made some progress, and then you can also track it. I think that's also great why we came together, because we were starting with this boundary book. I had this experience with the laptop that then basically like put me on the boundary deep dive from that point, and I was like deep diving. I want to know everything about boundaries. What did I miss for the past 17 years? The fuck. So we started working together, and then we basically started to perfect the boundary book before something was even released. And we are both very, very big perfectionists. That's why we were like, okay, we need a third person which holds us accountable. And that's how Kristen basically joined us, because now we are holding each other accountable, and that's why we're finally making progress and bringing the boundary book out, because this thing really has to be here on the planet. And that brings me actually also to our motivation and how we got here. Can I tell you the story?
Of course.
It's really interesting. So yeah, I've been in the personal development for the past 17 years, but it's not so much about me, it's about the mentors and the person and the figures that I've met in my life that really inspired me to go further and further and further. And one of it was actually, that's why I put the book here, Brendon Burchard, The High Performance Habits.
Smart guy.
Yes.
Very
Super smart
guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well respected and loved in this room anyway.
To bring the joy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, shout out to Brendon Burchard if you should ever listen to that. Thank you so much for
Thanks for being
inspiring us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inspiring us. Because basically, I also got the habit tracker of Brendon Burchard when I started working on my habits in my earlier years of personal development. And it was such a great tool. And then I read his book, High Performance Habits. I started to watch his videos. I started to consume all of his information. Then he had some videos and even a little course about boundaries, which was one of the resources that we used to really make an even more deep dive into the topic. We looked at it from every angle, but he got so many great things. And at that point, I was like, he has his high performance planner. It's like an A4 size book where you're like tracking your performance. And he has like this habit tracker. And I was like, why is there no boundary tracker? Because for me, boundaries were one of the biggest game changers in my life. And so I sat together with Pascal at first, and we were looking at his high performance planner, which we both own. We both own his books. We both consumed his stuff. I'm pretty sure you also consume a lot of Brendon Burchard. This guy is just crazy.
You're a fool
man.
if you don't.
I just inhale his content.
There's so much knowledge there.
Give me everything.
Feeling like Kirby in that moment. So, yeah, man, I was looking at his plan and I was like, you know what? There's no one that actually brung out a really nice workbook on boundaries. And I want to, let's create something in a similar way, but like focused on boundaries and with the boundaries, how you achieve your goals, how you communicate them, because that's such a big game changer. And it doesn't matter if you're a CEO, if you're just a lover.
Anyone.
For everybody.
A parent, just a stay-at-home mum could benefit massively from this.
I mean,
anyone in any situation will at some point have something happen that they don't want to happen. That could stop. You know,
exactly. We spoke about it before here the session. People with ADHD.
Wow.
It's a perfect. All of us have it. You know, all of us were diagnosed, and it's a perfect tool for this one. For real, because I have the experience in my school time. I was the biggest people pleaser I ever saw in my life, for real. And just now realizing with the boundaries, when I knew it then, bro, it would have such an impact for me. Really. And now it have, of course. For $9.99.
For only $9.99. Which is why it's a great tool for parents as well, because now if I would have got children by now already, I would be so glad to have the boundary book, because it also taught me how to communicate it towards children. Children, what do they want to know? They want to know why. Why this boundary? Because most parents, they are like, no, don't do that. I was always the kid who was like, why?
Same.
Why? I'm not gonna stop doing it until you actually explain me why. So I was this very annoying kid. My mom tried to communicate her boundaries with me, but she never communicated it in a way that I would actually respect it. Which wasn't me trying to disrespect my mom. It was like, sorry, this boundary really makes no sense for me.
Searching for a reason.
I'm just wanting to know the reason. And so this is a great tool for parents as well, because you, the parent, you are basically the image your child is sucking up. The first 7 years, they have like no consciousness filter. So whatever you do, whatever you say, with whomever you hang out with, even the friends and the colleagues that you work with, they all have an effect on your kid. And did on me too, and on all of us.
Back to the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And
it goes directly in the subconscious.
Yeah, it goes directly into the subconscious. Now it forms patterns, programs, and we are fully programmed beings. Let's say by the age of 14, when someone finally starts to use his own mind, does he really use his own mind, or is he just using the pre-built mind of his parents and friends and colleagues and school teacher?
I think we're all doing that initially, aren't we? Until we get to that point, like where we've all been, where you go, this isn't working. Exactly. I need to cut my own path. I need to make my own way.
There's something different in life I want to.
Yeah.
But I would love to actually see children growing up with this already. Because imagine just how this world would look like when all parents would know their boundaries, know how to communicate them in a non-violent but respectful way so that they are being respected. Now the child respects their parents, and the parent also respects their child.
Yeah, of course.
Because also the child can learn to set boundaries and communicate them in a clear way. Why wait till they're 30, 35 years old? Basically, when the first 30 years they have just lived off the programs of their patterns. Let's just imagine for 1 second how this world would look like if everyone knew this from the get-go. How would the world look like for you?
Well, I have children. Well, one biological, and I've raised two that weren't my own. And so, kids are hard.
Yeah.
they're very, very hard, you know, and they test everything. They test your patience. They will test your boundaries. So, yeah, I mean, if there may be some concepts which are a little too complicated for a younger child to understand, but I mean, 13 onwards even. I mean, for some kids even younger, you know, I think my son who's only 11 has got a great mind for thinking about deep subjects and things, so for him I don't think this would be an issue, but I think most people teenage onwards, there's no reason they shouldn't start implementing this, just for like how they're beginning to learn to socialize and interact with people, not just their peers, but you know, people that are in positions of authority and like out in the world, strangers, the police, you know, just how to communicate, yeah, absolutely, and to understand what you're willing to accept in this life and what you're not. And obviously some things aren't our own choices, there are laws and things that we all have to follow, but things that are a choice, things that are within our reason to choose, then we're allowed to, you know, we're allowed to choose how we want this to be. We're allowed to choose within reason how we want to be treated and how we want to be spoken to and how we want to be, you know, respected, again within reason. But you know, so for children, of course, that it can imagine the life that you have now, like what you were saying before. If you could have not had to go down the road for 30 years, not setting boundaries, letting people get what they want from you, if you could have fixed that from the get-go, from being a teenager, understood your own mind, where could you be now?
What the hell?
You know?
I'd rule this world, man. I'd fucking rule this world because I want to rule this world. No. But I'm pretty sure even a child, if he would go through the first part, because we set all the basic knowledge and we go deeper on that and we go deeper on that, and through all the self-assessment and the theory, even a child at the age of, let's say, 8, 9, I think would get it.
I think so. They could work through it. It would be the content that they're adding in there would obviously be very specific to them and very,
of course,
through the mind of a child. But I mean, I know that some boundaries that I have now are the same. It's the same way that I've felt since as long as I can remember. You know, I mean, some boundaries do change, but some are just the way that you're born. You know, it's like that. And so, if you could have enforced those from being a child,
wow.
You know?
Wow. What a crazy being would that be? It almost explodes my mind when I try
potential. But that's it. The potential, because what we're doing now is we're reflecting on what could have been. And what people that are listening to this need to think about now is what could be for you.
Me, man.
Well, for where we are right now, we're all fairly happy. We're all fairly successful. We've done a lot of things in our fairly short lives. We can look at ourselves in the mirror and think, well, we need improvement, but we're doing okay.
Yeah.
But for someone who's looking in a mirror right now, just being like, fuck, I've got all these issues, I've got all these problems. Think about where you could be.
Yeah.
Think about what you could do, the changes that you could make, what you could become. And the best way to start doing that is to get the thoughts out of your head. And the best way to get those thoughts out of your head is the boundary book.
Yeah.
999.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Brandon Burchard, for inspiring us to make one of the greatest tools on this planet. And I'm pretty sure one day we will meet and we will sit down together at the table and you'll be like, fuck, why didn't I do that? But then at least you'll know we will always be very grateful and thankful to you, Brandon Burchard, because you're a great guy, man. Wow, what you did was great. But let's throw this question now to Pascal. How would the world look like for you if we all learned that from a younger age? Let's say the boundary book is just a fixed part and it's in every school system.
Probably it's hard for me to imagine.
Okay.
Because I've had such a mind, in the cage when I was young. But when I imagine, I try to. I try to imagine when I had the boundary book when I was young. Wow, crazy. Probably every decision I made then would be different.
Yeah.
In a self-respected way.
Yeah.
Not in a people-pleasing way.
Yeah.
So it would be maybe probably the same, but also in the opposite, the decisions, and I could be in a completely different position right now. So yeah, would it have impact my whole life?
Yeah.
Really.
So yeah, we
and
cannot
it will,
turn...
and it still will.
Yeah.
In my future, in your future.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's just what I wanted to say. We cannot turn back time, but we can ensure that everyone has the chance to have like a huge step forward in his life and for the rest of his life, because this is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You start working with the boundary book, and even if you just did the theory part, the first 30 pages, you would have learned a lot already. Some things would have already changed in your life just by having the awareness about your topics.
Yeah.
But if you then also work with it, man, you can definitely see improvement. You can track improvement, and you will see it visually. You will have it written down. You will see your own thoughts. You will have your accountability body.
Yeah.
Even if it's uncomfortable sometimes, because when I don't follow my own boundaries and then I have to communicate this situation to my accountability bodies, I don't really feel well. I'm like, oh, don't look at me.
Do you think it's because you could have done better?
Yes, that's the problem.
And that's the thing with these situations.
I'm disappointed about myself, basically.
Yeah. When you let one of your own boundaries slip, it's like the only person you can be annoyed at is yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's your boundary.
Yeah. But it's much easier to not be annoyed at myself when I'm alone with this, because I can just deny. Or
of course, yeah.
I can just look away or numb myself.
But when you've got someone checking,
yes, okay.
Then you have to reflect on it. Yeah. Why does that happen?
Yeah.
And how can I improve it for the next time?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Very nice. I think that's about an hour and a half, isn't it?
I'm really happy for the people to finally be able to get the boundary book, man.
Yeah, because when you just have that awareness of the theory part, through the time you think about your boundaries, your topics, and then you cannot not work with it.
No, it's once you have knowledge in your mind, you can't get that knowledge out of your mind.
Exactly, because through the time you're getting so loud back in your head and just work on it.
Yeah. It goes back to, we had a conversation about a week ago. We were sat outside on the hammocks and we were talking about, I don't know if this part will make the podcast or not, but we were discussing porn. We were discussing watching porn.
Yeah.
Oh
no! Don't remind me of that picture. because just even thinking of the picture that you gave me, it really disturbs.
And this is what I mean about the knowledge. Once you've learned something, it's impossible to unlearn it. So the thing is with porn, and I'm sorry if you guys out there watch porn, I'm about to fucking ruin it for you.
Close your ears. If you still want to continue watching porn,
don't listen.
Don't listen now, please. It's not going to be the same afterwards.
So I don't even know where I originally heard this from, but the words just became like daggers to my mind. Like, watching porn is cuck behaviour, like cuckold behaviour. Because what you're doing is watching other people have sex.
Maybe
Can you not get sex yourself? Is your life, are you that unattractive and that out of shape that you can't go out and find sex yourself? So you need to watch other people have sex. To me, that just broke me. I was like...
It's like the ego.
Oh, fuck. Like, yeah, so...
Yeah, okay, I get that.
The thing is, if you learn something and it resonates with you, like this, everything in this boundary book, even like say, if you're not even doing the workbook part yourself, you're not writing anything down, if you just read the words that are in there, it's going to have an impact on your mind. It's going to have an impact on how you treat yourself and how you approach presenting yourself to the world.
Yeah, you're also getting aware of your patterns. Sometimes it takes time. Takes maybe weeks, month or something, but at the time you get it. You see the pattern. Hey, wait a minute. I also always do the same way. Can I do it on another way? It's like, okay, can I set a boundary there? Is it important for me? Can I improve it? I had the situation so many times. I swear. I wrote about it, I learned it, and then sometimes I ignored it. And then it was really that loud, and then I have to watch it, and it was like, okay, damn, I have to set a boundary. I have to communicate it, hold it, and really improve it. That was such a difference, really. Yeah.
Nice.
Great talk.
Fucking great talk, man. That was cool. I wonder how long we did.
Applause for ourselves.
1 hour 22.
Wow.
Still recording?
Still recording.
Oh,
1
perfect.
hour 22.